Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Plain. I'm joined this evening by well-known activist, animal rights activist, human rights activist. He is a former senator and a thought leader. He is Dr. Kriyan Singh. Good night, Kriyan. Doc, good night.
Good night, Philip. How you doing, brother? Good night to everyone. Good night to all your PEP supporters, onlookers, everyone. Good night. How you all doing?
An absolute pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. You
Thanks,
are
man, Philip.
you have been a courageous light. I telling you this, and I don't bullshit people. You've been a courageous light in the conversation. Sorry, I'm running so late, and I want you to understand it was an argument about doubles. And we'll get into that. I will talk about all of that with you. Kriyan, you were in the Senate as an independent.
Yeah.
What was your experience regarding the Senate? Do you think that the Senate, not that if it as constructed serves a purpose, but does it serve a purpose?
Well, Philip, look, to answer that question, I have to give you my history of being in the Senate, right?
Totally.
Let me tell you why I say that. Because every time I show up in the newspapers now on the tips of the tongues of somebody, like they have something to say about my post or my Facebook post or my lack of political correctness, they will always use the term former independent senator. And even in your show, I am former independent senator, but I would like people to understand that before I was former independent senator, I was Kriyan Singh, citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. While I was senator, I was Kriyan Singh, citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Now I am no longer an independent senator, and I am still Kriyan Singh, citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. And why that is important, Philip, is because I was there as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. I was not there as anything else. I was not there as a supporter of one party or another party or an intellect in any field or an expert in any field. I was there as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is something that many people have not realized. Many people say, well, we need an ordinary man to be a senator. People do not realize that I was the ordinary man. I was the man that would just say what I had to say. I don't care who say what in the newspaper after. When I was in the newspaper about speaking about my testicles and so on, that was actually my situation. I was in a hospital bed in England with my left testicle swollen in my hand, reading and crying about my name being defamed on Facebook, in the papers, in the Express. That was my situation. So what I'm saying is I am not former independent senator. I am Kriyan Singh, a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. And when I was in the Senate, let me get to what you were getting at. When I was in the Senate, what I realized is that in the Senate, you cannot change anything. Because when the government comes to the Senate with an idea, they come driving that idea home. They already have the power to do it. Because they already have in the independent bench people who are chosen by a president who is not chosen by an independent body. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Understood.
So to get down to what you're asking, what is my experience in the Senate? My experience in the Senate is that it is a form of governance that is not suited to our country. It is a form of governance that we adopted from a colonial system, and that when we go there, we think that our senators, we think that our MPs are superheroes. They are not. A lot of us are just there confused as everybody else.
Boss, first of all, I want to tell you, congratulations for being the first person to bring up their own testicles on Plain Talk. I don't think we've had that before, so congrats. Take that.
No, but it is to show how outspoken I am. Because Philip, a lot of people, when they're, and you get a lot of brass, Philip, for cursing. Right? You are cursing somebody because you have something against that person. You're cursing that person because it is the passion of Trinidad and Tobago that is boiling within you. The passion that your mother and father worked on the soil, that my mother and father worked on the soil. When we do that, is that passion? It's not that we disrespectful. It's not that we are not fit for office. It is that we have that passion that we don't care about political correctness anymore. It has not worked in our system. Where has political correctness gotten us, Philip?
Bro, you laying a nice road for me. But I want to tell you something. My job to lay that road for you. But I am in complete agreement with you. So let's start from
Uh,
where we are. We in a country where the land was seized by force of arms
mhm.
and time passed and people not who did not consult with the population went to represent the population to the kidnappers, the Queen and her
Right.
cohorts. And Dr. Eric Williams spoke on our behalf without consulting with us what he went there to speak. So the kidnappers and the new colonists negotiated to exchange us, the hostages, and Trinidad and Tobago, and they gave us a mock sham of a government system that does not work.
What do we have that goes with that? That you always talk about, that you spoke with our former Prime Minister, Mr. Pandey, about recently. A constitution that also does not work. Everybody celebrates independence in our country. We get a holiday. We put red, white, and black flags all over. We put up all these things on the streets. How many people know what that means? Knows when we became independent and we have a constitution, what our rights is there. We now have a situation where people don't know if they're allowed to sell doubles or they're not allowed to sell doubles. You know why? Because that is in the constitution.
Not only that, and this is what I was just trying to have as an argument with Richard Blaze. And I'll say this because I said last night, I mentioned in the show last night, Richard Blaze, I consider him an advisor and he's a rational man. So,
Right?
so a lot of law, when you read a lot of law, it tells you that it is written from the perspective of what a reasonable man would.
Right?
So the argument that people are making for Scott Fabres and Jerry Hadid's son, who are the owners of St. Christopher gas station, I think with some other small shareholders, but they're not really the owner of the fuel license. I believe that still is owned by the St. Christopher's Cooperative, and they have some arrangement that was put in place by Neil Gosain when the UNC was in office. I think Brian Sow, who was then in NLCB, had something to do with that. Again, my information, and I'm going to get more. Because put
Uh-huh.
four doubles in a plastic container to sell in a gas station and call that an opportunity for Fat Boy. Because Richard told me. Said he knows Fat Boy well. And to Fat Boy, this was an opportunity during coronavirus. And I said, how would Fat Boy feel if Slim Boy went and cut a better deal with St. Christopher's gas station, and then he lose the only avenue for him to sell his doubles? And he lost it. It's no longer a wonderful opportunity. He back home hungry.
But didn't they allow the doubles to be sold in the end?
The doubles is being sold in the gas station. But I want to ask of all the people who wrote the law, if the
Uh-huh.
400 people used to line up outside the doubles box reach the lineup outside the gas station, what's the difference?
Well, Philip, that is the question we have to ask. My thing is, right? How is it? Is the issue the doubles, or is the issue the social or physical distance when you buy it? So what you should be policing is not the food, but is the people. You realize we have police food? We are in a country where we police plants and we police
Boss,
food. We don't police
I make,
people.
I make, I'm making an ass of that law, and I'll show you why. If
Uh,
all the restaurants tomorrow went and buy 4 kiss bread in the grocery and put it in their restaurant, because in Maraval, in Bosse Village, there is Creole Kitchen. I did a video about that the other day. Creole Kitchen, they are about 30 years selling Creole food. And they are very, very successful. Creole Kitchen is so successful, they cause 90% of the traffic into and out of Maraval between the hours of 11 and 2 o'clock every day. Creole Kitchen, so Freddy's, who saw an opportunity, came and opened a branch of Freddy's Bakery next door, literally next door to Creole Kitchen.
yeah,
And
that's the way it
they're
is.
not a bakery. They're not a bakery, they are bread retailer. Linda's are all bread retailers. They don't bake bread in those stores. Bread retailers, and they are not bakeries. So the law is allowing bread retailers to open and sell food. And bread retailers are not listed. Bakeries are. And I'm showing you that you're going to work with the letter of the law. that a doubles box is not an essential service, but a bakery is a bread stand, isn't? And Linda's Bakery in Maraval is a glorified bread stand. So is Freddy's Bakery in Bossier Village next door to Creole Kitchen. But Creole Kitchen can't open because they don't sell bread. Freddy's can because they sell bread, so they could also sell. And I went in Long Circular Mall and I said to
So,
all the stores in Circular Mall, go to St. Christopher's gas station and sell them your books, sell them your clothes, sell them your hats, sell them your bags, sell them your toys. Because St. Christopher's gas station could become a mall, selling anything he wants because he's a gas station.
well, you see now, Philip, at the end of it, I remember just before they closed down the doubles people, certain double stalls took the initiative to put up shields, the same shields they put up in KFC, to put up
Yep.
shields and the thing is, I looked at it, I said, look how smart and ingenious the doubles man was to already start taking the initiative to do something. Now, as I said, the problem is not the doubles manual, the problem is not the doubles, the problem is not the food or what is being sold. The problem is the people who buying it coming and lining up, right? Now, again, it comes down to, are we going to police the seller or should we be policing the people who lining up?
The police and the people in Marabella Massey today and Shoguana's Massey today, there were no masks. There were people all up underneath one another armpits like they were in Gregory Aboud's store in Queen Street in town. We have a law. The problem in Trinidad and Tobago is we have non-functional law and a dysfunctional government system, and that's what we all need to discuss. Because the
So,
doubles vendors are victims here. The doubles vendors.
all right,
Any
definitely,
any
definitely.
argument they raise, the plastic containers, all the people who defend the plastic containers know we cross a critical juncture in plastic pollution in the waterways
In
and
wait,
the sea.
yeah. No, my thing is this. Look, today I get pizza from I see pizza home by me from Price Mart. So they have started back selling food. So it took the double situation. It took a policeman going and stopping doubles for Price Mart to now know that hey, we could start back selling pizza.
If you are a hardware tomorrow, you could sell
Mm.
doubles. You could sell food. If you're a gas station, you could sell hardware. You could sell clothes. There is no limit to what you could sell.
Mm.
Everybody, now this is the secret that I want every Trinbagonian business person to hear me. Listed in the law of the things that are essential services is something called a discount store. Now it's not
Right, yeah.
described.
I was following that with Gary today. With the
So there's no
I was listening to
right.
what Gary was saying about that.
Right. So if there is no description of what a discount store is, all Mario's have to do is open Mario's Pizza and give a discount on their pizza. And it is now a
Yeah.
discount store. And I'm saying again, I'm trying to make a mockery of this bullshit law because it is important that we see that our parliament is so dysfunctional that it could make law. Our governance is so broken that it could make law that makes the police officers right and wrong at the same time.
Well, that is without question because, as I said, when I was in the Senate, I remember there were certain laws, bills that were trying to be passed, and the argument over comma or semicolon, which did not alter the law, was more important than altering the law so that it was a logical, straightforward law, right? There, and these are the little things that you wonder why are the people who are there not are they oblivious to what is really happening outside, right? Take for example where we have somebody say, well, no, but no, there's no hunger outside there. There's no real hunger in Trinidad. And today, just before we started, today I see a fella on the promenade saying he have no more money in the bank account, showing his bank slip, and he come out here to see if somebody will give him some sugar for he return home. You know, I think it is laughing at the people of Trinidad and Tobago who are in a situation, no fault of their own. None of the people who are suffering here are people who went on any trips, you know, Philip. This is something we have to realize. None of the people who are without food and hungry here today are any of the 20,000 people who went on a trip. I don't know if
Krian,
you know any of them.
Krian, we have legitimized criminality in Trinidad and Tobago, and we've disguised it with names like government and justice and law enforcement. We have a serious, serious problem. I have interviewed a former prime minister. I have interviewed parliamentarians, present and past. I have interviewed a very respected jurist. I interviewed one of the most respected and professional law enforcement professionals in the region, and they all admit readily that Trinidad is not just broken, it is rotten, it is corrupt. It is
It,
corrupted
it,
at the top. Mhm.
Philip, when I had to go and get my driver's permit after I became paralyzed, when I went to get my driver's permit, the law states that as a person who becomes paralyzed, becomes disabled, you have to give up your driver's permit. So I gave it up. I did the right thing. I got the law. I read the law. I gave up my driver's permit. And I told them, okay, I would like to drive a car. Right? This has been a battle I've had with license office from then till now, more than 14 years. What for 14 years, sorry. And what they told me is, okay, you now have to come with a car that is insured in your name, that is under your name, to do the driving test with the hand controls installed. Now I want to show you why, because this is what they are telling me is the law. Now this is not in the law, but this is what they are telling me. They want me to go and get insurance without having a driver's license. The first thing you need to do to get driver's insurance is have a driver's license. So, and then what it got down to is the rottenness. The rottenness is, well, we could send you by a man by Prince's tongue. There are a fellow out there who will make the hand control fair for $6,000. He want to weld two rods to an next rod and say that is a hand control, Philip, and charge you $6,000. That is how you grease the wheels, right?
And
Now,
I'm sure that the person that you're dealing with is recommending that person because they're going to be getting some kind of
yes, yes,
finder's
yes.
fee.
That's how it works. That is how it works. Now, I when you see all these heavy T vehicles on the road, right? These Ford trucks and that are now registered as heavy T. Do you think that
Yes.
do you think that the person who is driving it went and get a heavy T license?
No. I know there was an arrangement created for McInerney Motors. I was told that
Well,
if I say that on this show, Sabga will call JD Sele and send a lawyer named, what's his name, boy? Runner, to write me a
yeah,
letter saying that I am
a reaction.
saying any Olstons is bribing the Ministry of Transportation. So I can't say that. But the weight of the vehicle that are being sold to people who hold a private license, a light vehicle license, exceeds the tonnage and should be classified as a heavy T. But we live in a country, Krian, where Trinidadians just tell you, oh God, man, why you studying that? I need to study.
Right now, Philip, let me ask you this. We've had two different ministers of works and transport come out and say, if you know any instances of bribery or corruption in the license office, come and tell us. But this heavy cheating is still going on. How is this not picked up as corruption? How is it not picked up that you are giving people, you are giving a young lady whose husband or boyfriend is she can't walk properly in high heels. No, I'm not trying to be sexist here. I'm saying a real situation that I've seen with my own eyes. She can't walk properly in her own high heels, but she now has a heavy T license, which means if one day she drunk and she wants to go and drive a truck, she can legally do it. These are things that we have to figure out the system. I'm not saying don't make it easy for people to own those types of vehicles.
No,
I'm
no,
saying set it right.
I don't want to focus too much on the actual examples of where the law is an ass.
Mm.
My Form 5, who went on to become the principal of Trinity College, Llewellyn, Josh, the mighty short pants, wrote a song in the 80s and sang Law is an ass. But the law is
Mm.
an ass that Tobago because the parliament is dysfunctional. The system that was created to operate Trinidad and Tobago, the manual, creates a criminal overclass that owns and operates Trinidad and Tobago. And until we could find enough people that want to stand together and challenge all of it, because the problem is to fix it, we have to get all the blacks and all the whites and all the Indians and all the Browns and all the Chinese and all the Jews and all the French and everybody to say together, you know what? I no longer going to vote tribe. I no longer going to vote race. I no longer going to vote religion. I'm going to vote country first, because the minute you do that, you have an opportunity then to fix all of this. And people that
But
tell me, study it. I just want to say this one thing and I'm giving you your leeway. Don't study it. And I keep asking, if you see injustice as an opportunity, what will you see it as when justice comes home by you?
and this is what I'm saying, Philip, right? When I was a senator, right? Everybody, because of the things I would say, because I don't care about if you think I'm UNC, if you think I'm PNM, I want you to understand I am just a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, seeing things as it is. When elections came up, the last elections, my neighbor and them hosted Razia, the former Speaker of the House, who was the candidate for our area. They told me, Krian, could you come as a former senator and speak? I said, not a problem. I was on my way to the gym. I went across there in my gym clothes. I greeted her to my community. I said, thank you for coming and so on. I stayed, I listened, and then I went to the gym. A couple days after Faris had his meeting in Mbakade, I carried people in my van to the meeting and sat down there and listened to Faris speak in the rain in my van, listening to Faris speak because I wanted to hear what he had to say. I went to Joel D'Souza's meeting, and you would remember I was there. At Joel D'Souza's meeting, I was there. She was going up as an independent candidate. And I said, listen to me. I sat down, I said, listen, Krian, you have one vote. Every citizen has one vote. How do you make that one vote count, Philip? When you have two choices that you are choosing between who thief less, I'm not talking about the individuals, I'm talking about the political parties. When you have to choose between who thief less, that is not a choice. That is, as you said, a criminality that overshadows us. And I made this public thereafter. I voted for Joel D'Souza. The reason I voted for Joel D'Souza is not that she's my friend, because Faris is my friend and Razia is also my friend, two of whom I have a whole lot of respect for. I voted for Joel D'Souza because the principle she went with was honesty. That if she won, she would do what she said she was doing. And thirdly, that she went up as an independent candidate with nothing shadowing over that she had to fill anybody else's pockets as a political entity over. And those are the kind of principles that we need more independent thinkers. I'm not saying we need more independent candidates. But if you can get more independent thinkers out there, then you will
Priyan,
come up with parties that are independent.
Priyan, it's a chicken and an egg, eh? Because the average person wants to be an independent thinker. You know? The average person wants to be rational, but they don't have
Mm.
opportunities to be rational. You just described that earlier. Without Joel as an independent candidate, you would have had to choose between cancer and a heart attack, because regardless of how much you feel for Razia and Faris, the two parties they represent are criminal organizations that have taken place in billion-dollar crime that has kept this country back, that has retarded its development. I just want to say, Clarence Rambarat, who's an attorney, he was a professor and a board member at Carney Limited, wrote an article in the Express before the election in 2015, and he said the next election will be a contest to see who less worse. And he obviously picked a
Well,
side.
as you bring up Clarence, right? And this is, I like to, on my Facebook personality is I like to make jokes and sarcasm about what is going on in our country as well, because it's the only way that a lot of us can take it. The insanity that goes on for governance in our country, the only way a lot of us can swallow it is to laugh about it, right? And for example, with Clarence, we now have a situation here where we had our Prime Minister go away and discuss yam, the importation of yam from Ghana. Now, I'm not saying it's not something that could happen, but did we not last year seize yam, 2,500 pounds of yam coming on a truck from Venezuela? Now, if we are now in agreement that we could do trade with Venezuela, we are a sovereign state and we don't have to worry about sanction, why aren't we just bringing the yam from Venezuela? Why don't we support our neighbor and say, okay, listen, we don't need to fly yam on a cargo ship.
It is people like you that have Faris and Stuart working overtime to turn off social media because you're giving people too much truth. And truth is poison to the PNM. Truth is poison because when you ask questions, cult members don't know how to answer, so they have to go back to the cult to ask them why we not bringing the yam straight from Venezuela. Krian asked that question. They go tell you, go take on Krian. They go attack Krian name, call Krian a whole UNC.
But we are saying that we want to trade with our neighbors. We had yam coming from there. Why? There's so much things we could bring from Venezuela. If we are saying, listen, we are a sovereign state, we are accepting what is happening in Venezuela. There's no humanitarian crisis. It's just a little civil unrest. It's just a little governance issue. Then let us do trade with them. Otherwise, come out and say, listen, this is which pick a side. Right now, we haven't even said if we are neutral. Right now, we don't know where we stand as a nation. What is we don't know if in the future we are doing trade with Venezuela, because it have yam right there, Philip. Now I will tell you, the reason I'm bringing up this whole situation is because I watched your program last night as well with former commander, with Commander Rerun. I watched what you had after about protecting our borders. Now, Stuart Young has said that it is impossible to protect our borders. Philip, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to Venezuela?
No.
Well, I have been to Venezuela several times, Philip. My dad, when he used to work in the 80s, when he used to work for Trinidad, the Caribbean Tire Company, I'll tell you why I say this. I've been to Venezuela, but then when I was 7, 8 years old, 9 years, it was a beautiful country. It was our escape to America in a place that is not America. What it has become now.
My mother's father came from Caracas. That's where he's from. He was a Venezuelan. So I know I have family in Venezuela, but I've never been there. But fighting this fight have nothing to do with anything else other than knowing right and wrong. If we say, and you alluded to it earlier, the country Trinidad and Tobago is so.
I'm getting to the point about the border control issue. I have been to Venezuela through the illegal route as well, because I wanted to see how this takes place. So I have clients who come to me. I say, listen, Ole, I want to know how it's done. And I am talking, I've done it in the wheelchair. And you reach Venezuela in 45 minutes, Philip. And in reaching there, you see the Coast Guards that are passing, and they know when the Coast Guard going so, you go so. It is so understood. It is a system that is so known because the system has not changed. There has been no change of the system. Right? And it is all done because our economy cannot survive without a narco economy. It is the reality of it. Look at our economy from ever since. It cannot survive. It cannot survive.
But we got independence at the same time as Singapore. Singapore was the prostitution capital of Asia. They had all the things that was wrong with the country. Singapore is half the size of Trinidad and Tobago. It has no oil and gas. Singapore has a population of 5 million people, and their GDP is 242 billion US dollars a year. They just eclipsed the United States of America as being the most competitive economy in the world. We, who have oil, gas, pitch, Trinitario, cocoa, the nylon pool, and all that drama, our GDP is 22 billion US, 10%. I want to ask you a question. How could Singapore, who have no oil, no gas, no pitch, no nothing, do what they did? And we say, us, Trinidad and Tobago, as fortuitously located as we are, as blessed as we are, can diversify outside of oil, gas, and cocaine?
Because the answer is very simple, Philip. What is the population of Singapore?
5 point something million.
5 point something million Singaporeans. Okay. That is the answer. Because Trinidadians,
black and
Do you
Indian and that
understand
kind
what
of
I'm
thing.
saying? I am not talking about race. I am talking
All
about
right.
a people. I am talking about Trinidadians as a people are not ready to be accountable for our country,
And
and
that is because,
we are
and
not
that brings
ready
us
to
to,
say the way our country is our fault. We are not ready to
and
say
it's,
that, Philip.
no, but Lee Kuan Yew, who was the man who moved Singapore from being the prostitution capital of Asia and a drug trafficking country. When he was elected to office, he made some promises, he made some statements, he passed some laws, and he gave them as a blank resignation. He said certain things will take place in the country, and they're very serious. You heard Vernon de Lima talking about the speed at which they execute people
Yeah.
for drug trafficking. But Singapore is not just the most competitive economy in the world. It is a developed first world nation. It has the largest urban green space per capita in the world. Singapore, on paper, is the best country in the world to live if you are a law-abiding person.
Well, there we go, Philip. You said if we are law-abiding person, is every Trinidadian willing to abide to the law? Does every Trinidadian pay tax? Does every Trinidadian Is every Trinidadian not littering out there? Is every Trinidadian following the speed limit? Is every Trinidadian following everything to the law? The
Because
reality is we live in
the difference between Singapore and Trinidad is a narco state. Trinidad is a narco state, and cocaine dollars has corrupted every office of state in this country.
that is what I told you, Philip, because as I said, I went there with fellas or this boat, right? They weren't going to bring any drugs and stuff. But when you go and we slept in a mangrove for 2 hours in the mangrove, because when you get to Venezuela, you're going up rivers in the mangrove and you are seeing pirogues with Trinidadians on it carrying cocaine, carrying cocaine. It's not no little bit of cocaine that Trinidad, the amount of cocaine that enters Trinidad is literally 1% or less of the amount of cocaine that passes through Trinidad.
Okay,
That
but
passes through.
Venezuela in 2018 moved 40 billion US dollars worth of cocaine. 40 billion US dollars. And even if we only got 10% of that, that is 4 billion US dollars passed through Trinidad and Tobago. And don't make light of it, because Trinidad, the reason our borders are wide open, the reason and Gavin Hira couldn't say it, and Vernon de Lima couldn't say it, and Basdio Pandey couldn't say it, that we have had government. Let me just finish this. Patrick Manning, you ask Gary Griffith, and Gary Griffith is an honest man. The term maritime security wall, Gary created that term. I know, I worked with him when he was international security. Trinidad and Tobago is a narco state where the narco empires are so powerful that when Justice Scott did his commission inquiry into the drug trade 40 years ago, that inquiry was thrown in the dustbin. We've had
They, and they pay money for it to the Philip. We paid money for it to find out what is going on, and then we say, okay, we don't care what's going on. We say we don't
1.4
care what's
million.
going on.
You think
But
1.4
let me
million
ask
of
you
us?
something, Philip. Philip, to this day, I am 37 years old. I have never actually seen cocaine.
So then,
I have never seen.
if 1.4 million of us are not in the cocaine trade, and a small handful and their empire and their corrupted public
Let's say 1%.
servants, that
Let's say 1% of the population. Let's use
so
the
why
term
the
1% of the.
a lot of people frightened by when you use the term 1%. So you gotta use something else.
No, no,
But
no.
if the
1%, meaning the mathematical amount of 1%, not we are referring to
from the moment
anybody.
they will say they're talking about Syrian people, I know as a half Syrian, they tell you the moment you say 1%,
But we have less than 1% of Syrian people in our country, man. We can't.
5,000. That's what Peter George Sr. said. But I don't want to lose sight of what I'm telling you here. If the vast majority of us, let's say 97% of us, are not beneficiaries from the cocaine trade, because you say that our economy is run on cocaine, but it doesn't trickle down to the small man. Trinidadians,
No,
rank and file, suffering. Our dollar is valueless. If the vast majority of us do not benefit from Trinidad being a narrow state, and in fact, live the lives that we live in squalid desperation, this violence, all this murder, all this gang and thing, why we don't stand together and vote a government into office that will break the backs of narco traffickers and their friends in the public service, including politicians?
Because have we passed law for party financing as yet? We've been promised law for party finance.
Can't
Have
ask,
we passed law?
you can ask me
We
a
haven't
question
passed law.
based on dysfunctional system. I am not answering for what they do because they're wrong and they're not doing it.
Here's your answer. If we haven't passed law to deal with party finances, then party finances can always be the people who benefit from the narco trade. So the people who benefited from the narco trade, Philip, I own a business. When I will ever see $160 million in a business as a veterinarian, when I will ever see that? I could hire as many people as I want. I will never see $160 million. But somebody has that amount of money to pay for cocaine and move it in our country. So that is not me. That is not you.
If I was
Who
the
that
prime
is?
minister, if I was the prime minister, I'd go to Donald Trump and I would tell him this. Plain. Either send enough men and machinery to end the cocaine trafficking through my country at your expense, or I will legalize cocaine and they could all traffic it to America from today. Because the cost of fighting the drug trade in Trinidad and Tobago that is being borne by taxpayers that are losing money and their lives is really a battle for America. We not snorting and injecting and doing all the things here and smoking the cocaine here. It is
What?
business people based in Trinidad and Venezuela and Colombia and wherever that are using Trinidad as a pipeline. And the end result, the reason is they want to get it to America. That's where the money is. 40 billion US dollars street value in America. To stop the drug trade, America just had to park a little piece of their Coast Guard outside of Trinidad and Tobago like they're doing right now. And all of a sudden, Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard know how to find cocaine again.
But what if we make a better suggestion? What about if they legalize it in the US? Because in Portugal, I would legalize cocaine, they legalize all drugs and say use what you want, and people stop becoming addicts. So that might be the other option. Tell Trump, listen, legalize cocaine in the US.
I'm not running for leadership of the United States of America. My
No,
concern
no, no, no.
is to
What I'm
make
saying is,
Trinidad. I want you to be able to go home and cut out the wrought iron around your windows and throw it away. I want if you forget your key in your car when you wake up tomorrow morning, somebody pass and see your window down and they turn it up for you, but they ain't thief your car. I want us to get back to a country where every creed and race does in fact find an equal place so that the lowest classes are not held and jailed for the rest of their lives for driving a pirogue on Mona's Island, but whoever imported the $600 million worth of cocaine, them in the wind. And we don't have a system that could continuously track them. So we could jail the loaders and the boat drivers for life.
but Philip, if you look at everything that has been done in terms of the tear down of anything that has been put in place to monitor our borders, it has all been politically geared, but in the sole purpose of allowing the drug trade to continue. What you are saying and what I am saying is the same thing, is that the people who finance the political system are the people who stand to make the millions from the system allowing the drug trade to continue. So until you have a party that can come up there not being financed by them, and when I say by them, by the narco traffickers, until you have a party that is solely financed by good people and by clean money, you're not going to deal with that problem. You're not going to correct it.
When you were in the
Because,
Senate,
go ahead.
when you were in the Senate, at any time did a bill come to the Senate that tried to bring the issue of drug trafficking and money laundering in Trinidad and Tobago under control?
Um, the only thing I would say that may have touched on it to some extent would have been maybe the bail amendment bill then, when the UNC was first bringing it. The bail amendment bill to remove bail for firearms and stuff, because they may have associated the link between having a firearm to the drug trade. But to say anything definitive coming up, I haven't seen it. But then
So
the question must arise, Philip. Who are the cocaine users in our country? Have we've
nobody.
always said that
Our,
no.
our, co- our cocaine sprangers, that's small money. 40 years we've known Trinidad and Tobago has been a narcotics pipeline. We've intercepted $1 billion
But,
in cocaine off the coast of Spain. I want to ask you something. Why no other
but
politician
Philip,
or
you
political
said
party talks about this?
Philip, you've said that those sprangers. But I believe that the cocaine users in our country are the wealthy, not the sprangers. I don't think that. I think the poor man. There are more. If you look at who they're arresting and so on, there are more poor men who would use marijuana as a drug than cocaine. Cocaine is not something cheap. You might have the crack cocaine and the spill off and all of that,
Crack
but you
cocaine,
have
crack
in these
cocaine is, yeah, that's how they interact with cocaine. But our consumption is not the issue. Even if all the people in Trinidad and Tobago were snorting coke, it still wouldn't make a blip of a difference. The market is the United States of America, the market is Canada, the market is Europe. Trinidad is a pipeline. That is the issue.
right.
The issue is
And
Trinidad is a
our,
pipeline. Systems, our systems of interdiction are corrupted with cocaine dollars. We have created a commercial empire in Trinidad and Tobago set up to launder cocaine dollars. Our public works contracts, a lot of those public works contracts, if you go and check it, to get back a check from Ministry of Works or NLCB is a clean check. There are people who say there are people who have lotto booths that don't see a single customer, but at the end of the day, they're racking up bigger numbers than anybody else. Money laundering is a
uh,
massive, massive business in Trinidad and Tobago.
well,
Massive.
okay, Philip. If the thing about it is it that right now we don't have enough users of the drug for it to be a public health problem in our country? That cocaine is not seen actually as a problem in our country, because marijuana was seen as a problem in our country enough for all the laws and so on to be against marijuana in our country. Now marijuana is legal. So is it that we don't have enough users of it in our country for enough drive to be there to stop it from passing through our country? Because the mindset might be that, listen, if this just passing through our country and all are we getting a little something we pocket man, let it happen. All are we getting to live a little fatter, let it happen, and that may be what your former speakers was alluding to without being allowed to say it.
Yeah, you have to look at the financial market in Trinidad and Tobago. If you pass, when they brought up the property tax proposal, I sent in a proposal, and a lot of people didn't know that we had the information that we had, and they were upset that we put out that information. And I said the child does need a property tax regime. On your primary dwelling, your property tax should be zero. Trinidad is a wealthy country, 0%. Regardless of how big or how small, your primary dwelling, 0%. Your second house, 5%. Your third house, 10%. Your fourth house, 15%. And escalate it until if you own 20 properties every year, you will be paying the state the full value of those properties, because a lot of cocaine and corruption dollars are hidden in real estate in Trinidad and Tobago. But our Attorney General is writing crafty laws to go after your money to see if you buy Tulum for $5 and sell it for 10 and didn't declare the $5 profit. But he don't want to see the criminal co-conspiracy that has used financial institutions and the real estate market in Trinidad and Tobago, the commercial sector, lawyers' fees, professional fees, real estate companies, fast food franchises. Trinidad and Tobago have more fast food franchises per capita than anywhere else in the world. We have money flowing through this country, and we came out of a recession that decimated us in the 80s. And by the 90s, we had millionaires and billionaires. Where all that money come from? I asked you a question earlier and it got lost. Asking you again. Why is no other politician or political party raising this issue when this is the most critical issue affecting Trinidad and Tobago right now?
Philip, I think right now the most critical issue for everybody is coronavirus, right? And I think that allowed itself to mask the issue you're actually talking about there, which is really a major issue. Now, as to why none of them are speaking about it, again, you won't cuss up your father if your father getting your money. If your father is the person putting allowance in your pocket to go to school, you won't cuss him up. Similarly, these parties are financed, and the financiers, who I don't know who are their financiers, you don't know who their financiers. There's no record of who they are how they are financed, how much money they received, you realize that you can't go and that a political party can't get a bank account. You realize that a political party cannot get a bank account. So who are checks being written to, and
Yeah,
who are cashing checks?
I risk upsetting a woman named Mariella Jardine who thinks that this is Hema Ramkissoon's show, Fazil's show, that you came on here to be interviewed. She doesn't understand that plain talk is a debate, and I bring critical thinkers to help people like her understand how the country works. So I wanna ask you a question. You just asked a question. Ask me it again. Ask me that
Uh,
question again, because there is an answer for everything, but we are not operating at that level in this country politically, because we sit down with our bag of popcorn to look and see who groping who today. We get distracted by tomorrow's top story, and we forget what was the top story yesterday. Trinidad and Tobago has been a cocaine pipeline, a narco state, a money laundering capital for decades. Why are none of the other political parties asking these questions? Why do Trinidadians not understand that this coronavirus and everything else that's happening are subservient to this? Our country does not work because our country, Basdeo Pandey couldn't answer the question when I put to him what you asked me just now. Why can't you register a political party in this country? Ministry of Legal Affairs has nothing like a
and,
political party.
and and you are telling me, Philip, that a check is being written, because I can't, unless it's a bag of money, that when they have to go and spend $100,000 on lighting, that a check is being written for lighting, and that money is being written in somebody's name, and they are cashing that check for $100,000 without any due diligence about, okay, how this money passed through this person's name. Look at the amount of money it takes. You all now have a political party. You know what it takes, right, to get to the level that the other political parties are in terms of advertising and media coverage and advertisement on TV and so on, right? Or to run a full page ad. Look how many full page ads these newspapers run for political parties that are paid full pages ads. Who writes the checks for these things? We don't know. So this is what you are saying, is that if we don't know, and that money is not coming out of a company, something that is legitimate, the only place it could come from is an illegitimate business, which is narcotic trade, which is the narco trade. And we have to be real about that. Philip, have you ever watched the series Narcos?
A little bit. It
Huh?
looks too real. It looks too real when I see those kind of shows. I watched Queen of the South and I thought I was looking at Trinidad and Tobago.
I watched, no, I was never into this whole thing about how it happened, but I watched the series Narcos, and it made me wonder if this is really what took place in Colombia. And then I went and watched documentaries on it, and it may open up my eyes to realize the Narcos episode, Narcos series 3. They do Colombia, they do Mexico. The next one will be Trinidad and Tobago. It will be Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago. That is what the series will be about if we continue down this road. Because it's just so real how involved the police are in it, how involved the politicians are in it, how involved the judiciary is in it. Because the narcotics trade is, the amount of money you are talking about is something that is unreal, you know. The richest man in the world that ever lived was Pablo Escobar.
I won't doubt it.
That is a
They couldn't.
that is a fact. He
You could know how much money Bill Gates had. You couldn't know how much Escobar had.
no. This is the recorded fact. He had
No,
money buried in the ground over.
I agree with you. You could never know his totals. That's what I'm saying. He had to have been. He had to have been. And the drug empires,
But
absolutely.
and the thing is that what we fail to realize is, even at that point in time, Trinidad was also linked to the Colombian drug trade. You know, there's mention of Trinidad being the routes that Pablo Escobar ran through Trinidad, including Trinidad, to get cocaine to Europe. It wasn't just America he was selling cocaine to.
And, and in the Panama Papers, big Trinidad law firms, politicians, senior public officials have been mentioned. Trinidad is a dirty, dirty place. The
And
world
has
is not
anyone
going to the world not going to miss Trinidad if we cease to exist. Trinidad is not a benefit to the world.
But has you said in the Panama people, has anyone been arrested, Philip?
This is a
Has
corrupt
anyone been?
country. We
Has
spent a
anyone
hundred.
ever been
The DPP spent
convicted of
150. The DPP spent $150 million trying to prosecute Ishgal Bransing for $1 billion. That means we spent a further 15% chasing the initial sum of money, and we still have nothing to show for it.
Hmm. It is sad, Philip, because the thing about it is that as you bring up Singapore, but you look at how I made a comment on one of your posts recently, and I said, you know how many Trinidadians have not had the opportunity
I saw
to
that.
go to another nation and see how it operates. And I said, you know, it's not even a matter of going to the US because, you know, people say, well, we don't want to be like the US. Everybody's against being like the US. We think we only too US oriented. But how many Trinidadians have even seen how Barbados operates? How clean Barbados is? How many Trinidadians have gone to Jamaica and all the bad things you hear about Jamaica, go to Jamaica and see how lovely it is. And you ask yourself, we are Caribbean people too. Why does our own country can't run like this? I went to Fort Lauderdale last year for 4 days just to collect a wheelchair, Philip. And I witnessed in that 4 days, when I passed by a place, a pothole on the road, the next day when I passed back, the whole road, I'm talking the entire stretch, probably about 4 miles of road, resheeted for one pothole.
But Krian, you were in the
And in
Senate.
our country,
Did you ever have
but
cause
these
to
are
stand
not
up?
things.
Did you ever have cause to stand up in the Senate and say, Mr. President of the Senate, none of this is making sense. I live in a rat hole. My country.
But
Tell me.
But Philip, let me tell you, twice I did that. Once at 2:30 in the morning when they were debating the dangerous dog bill, and we were adamant that this law does not pass. And one independent senator who was removed from the Senate the next week because of some issue with a bank and so on, right? Something to do with the inside trading or something like that. He was removed from the independent bench the next week. He was the only one that voted for the dangerous dog bill, that voted with the now opposition, the then government. And I
That person,
left at,
that person you named,
huh?
did he lose his stock trading license? Was he removed from the West Indies stock, the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't
Who
follow it up, but I know he was removed from the Senate.
followed? None of those consequences. None of those consequences.
Right?
And I want to tell Ms.
But
Brown, who was just watching,
at,
not a powder.
let me
This is to
tell you,
raise these.
at
Go ahead.
at 3 o'clock in the night, I looked at everybody in that Senate and I told the president of the House, I said, this is not making any sense. I say, you all are right now here making a mockery of a system that has failed our country. I am in the Hansard saying that, you know, Philip. And I left, I said, I'm leaving. And I couldn't stand it anymore because they were there making a mockery of our system. If you remember, at that point in time, the then government came with a bill that was flawed, a bill that was being enacted with no way of operating it at all, the dangerous dog bill. It was a flawed bill. They came with it and they came saying that their policy was that it will be passed. It didn't matter if it was flawed, it was going to be passed. They knew it was flawed, they accepted it was flawed, but the end of the day is, the people want something, we go in and pass it. Now, how can I support a system where it don't matter if it's going to work or not, we must pass it? That is the kind of lawmaking we have in our country.
That is our constitution. That's what they did. How it hang its swing. Trinidad and Tobago has a national anthem that was written for the Caribbean Federation. It wasn't written for Trinidad and Tobago. We cut and chop and paste the Caribbean Federation Constitution and call it Trinidad and Tobago Constitution. Nothing there was set up for Trinidad and Tobago to be independent. The entire thing has been ad hoc from the start to now.
Philip, look how much has taken place in the last 40 days of us being in lockdown, I would say, right? Without the parliament sitting, and laws that were being taken as this is the law, that is the law, we're not sure what the law is, that infringe on our constitutional rights. Yes, a lot of Trinidadians are just plain stupid because they think their rights are more important than protecting themselves, right? However, this was done without any cabinet sitting. And things that could have stopped legitimate businessmen, a doublesman, from earning a legitimate living. Right now, you have people who cannot because they can't legitimately earn. How can you arrest people for committing crime if you're not allowing them to legitimately earn? You are now putting people in a survival position. You are trying to institute martial law without having martial law. Because people out there hungry.
You're making the point, and I'm saying again, all of these are branches and fruit of the poison tree. When you think about it, Trinidad and Tobago, the entire construct that is Trinidad and Tobago is set up to fail. If you watch the interview with Bastio Pandey, and I would pay any kind of money to be able to interview Manning, Rowley, Kamala, all of these prime, to see the level of knowledge they have as to how a country is supposed to operate and how this country operates. Because you realize that they don't know what is going on or what should be going on. And we pass it every 5 years, we pass the baton to somebody else to waste a 5-year chunk of your. When I ask Trinidadians, you see, when people like you do it, Wayne Sturge, when you ask a critical thinking question, people will stop and say, wait now. When I ask Trinidadians, we develop a water that catches the water in the mountain and wash it away to the sea. Nowhere along the way does it stop in a reservoir or retention pond. And for half the year, fussing about drought. The other half, we flooding and drowning the country. Not
Yeah. And the thing is, Philip, it don't take rocket science to say, well, wait, all we have to do is store the water. It does not take rocket science. But why are we not
how
putting the
come,
money in that?
how come
Why are we
48
not
years
why are we not
science?
why do we not have the whole system geared towards that? Why do we not have the education system geared to solving the water problem? Why do we not have the university geared towards solving the water problem? Why that is not the whole project of our country for a little while to say, listen, we can't go on like this. We can't go on flooding and droughting, and people losing the whole house and everything washing away and things. Why can't we say, okay, we have an aim? And I'll tell you why I think it is. Right now, we are not in a forward-moving country. We are in a country that is moving up and down and up and down to the same level all the time. 1 minute we UNC, next minute we PNM. So the PNM will bring up their side, the UNC will bring up their side, but in bringing up your side, the other side going down. And we end up just at the same level all the time. We're not going forward. We have not had anybody who has come forward and say, listen, and when I say we have not had anybody, we have not had anybody from those two political factions who have come forward and say, listen, this bullshit is enough. Let us go beyond this bullshit. Let us go beyond.
The system was set
do
up.
this, so
The system
what
was.
we have right now.
Let me
Right
just
now,
say
what
this.
we have is regurgitation.
Yes, and it was required. It's not that I need 41 people. I need 40 others, and we need to win all those seats, and we need to get past the race bogey. The entire system is set up to favor the deep pocket financiers and their puppet parties. And as long as you have control of the media and you can frame the entire narrative as African and Indian issues, and this is African party and as an Indian party, then the entire politics comes down to that. A voting black or a voting Indian, and have nothing to do with the actual issues that affect the country. So 58 years later, we're not food self-sufficient. Our education system leaves 80% of our children behind. We have the highest rate of functional illiteracy in the world. We have 6 months of drought and 6 months of flooding. The country is broken. The average small businessman doesn't know who to turn.
Refinery. And we have no oil refinery anymore. Keep that in mind, we no longer have oil refinery. So how are we going forward beyond here? How are we going forward beyond here, Philip?
We have to
We
go
know,
back to the start. We have to go back to August 1st, 1962 and redo everything that was done when they lowered the Union Jack.
And Philip, we were trying to figure out about this narco economy we have here. Let me ask you something. How do you think Point 14 is functioning right now? A borough that only dealt with the oil industry. That was their mainstay. How are they functioning right now as a community? Where is the money coming into that community? Where how is think about it? How is Cedros and Ikakas able to function right now? What is
I
keeping those
learned
areas alive?
I learned today, and to answer your question in a roundabout manner, how unsovereign we are. I learned today that Patrick Manning's refusal to sign Ship Rider. Remember that? Remember the Ship Rider agreement?
Yeah.
Is why Patrick Manning was fired. And that Basdeo Pandey agreed that he would sign Ship Rider if they make him Prime Minister. And Patrick Manning was forced to call a snap election. And 1 month into office later, Warren Christopher came down here and Pandey signed Ship Rider. Remember that?
Remember there was a meeting just before he called the
Yeah.
Mr. Man was in
Yeah,
a meeting.
yeah, in Good Park.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Kriyan, past this hour, we passed an hour already and the conversation's still running. And I want to tell you something. You have so much information to give. If you were to be given the opportunity to serve in a government right now, what would be the first thing that you would tackle if you wanted to fix Trinidad and Tobago?
I think right now, Philip, what we needed in Trinidad is for people to have a vision about where they could go in this country. Because I think the average Trinidadian, when they get up in the morning, they say, boy, this is how life is and this is how it will always be. And I just need to get through this day and I need to get through next day. And I mean, I have employed people, Philip. As an employer, I have employed people who have come to me and told me this is what they saw their vision as. A day for today, a day for today. Today paycheck, if I get money in my pocket today, I could pay for today. Right? And that's why we have so many hungry people. And I would say, you see, education, and when I say education, I don't mean education, school education. I mean, we need to develop people to have that vision about where they want to go. The average trader, if you ask them what they want to be at any age, they will say something that is highly unrealistic to be in this country and do it successfully. They will say something that is highly unrealistic. You have people right now, if you ask them what they want to be, I want to be a doctor, but you have so many doctors unemployed in this country right now. I'm not saying that your dream to be a doctor is false. I'm saying that is unrealistic what you are asking to be because there's not the scope for it right now. There's not employment in it. So we need to develop our country. And you see that get people from an early age to have a vision about what this country can be, right? I've gone to other countries and spoke as an advocate for people with disabilities. I've gone and spoken with children who are 5 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old, who have more vision, Philip, than our people who are elected politicians. I am talking about 5 year olds, 10 year olds, 12 year olds who have more vision than our politicians. Visions in terms of they're not blinded by color of skin, by cultural background, by where your parents came from as opposed to where my parents came from, or whether your parents came on a slave boat and my parents come on an indentured boat. They're not blinded by that. They just think, okay, how can I make this little piece of island we have better? Right? And that is where I think the children, as much as we don't like to always go back to Eric Williams spoke highly of the future of our country was in the school bag of our children. And I think it is still there, but we have to think about it not just as a school bag, but it has to be everything that we put into those youths. Are we bringing up youths with the right mindset about how to go forward in life? That to go forward and try to make Trinidad a better place? Or are we now having youths just saying, boy, you had to be able to survive? The average Trinidadian right now is just thinking about survival. And I mean outside of this pandemic. The average Trinidadian is thinking about survival. Just before you connected the call, I was talking to Satish about how I watching how people are suffering in our country right now. And I will tell you frankly, I'm not suffering. I have an essential business, but I chose to close it because I didn't want to put my workers at risk. I didn't want to put my parents at risk because my business is at my home. So I closed my essential business. I said it was not worth it. I would pay my workers and thing. I would stay home and we would sort out making back what we had to make back. The point I'm making is that I know people who, if they don't go out and work today, they can't eat today, Philip. And they can't feed their 2 children and their wife today. I know taxi drivers. If you look at them, they're not poor, Philip. They have a home over their head. They have a house. But the reality is that to get that, they have to work every day. And this time right now, where they're not working, our country don't have anything in place better than $1,500, Philip. $1,500, a salary leave of $1,500 assumes that a household could survive on 50 TT a day.
Kian, I want to tell you, all the points that you're raising are important, but I still find that I'm not discounting it because it's all critical. But our background hum does not include the fact that the country is so incredibly broken that while we arguing about the $1,500, they're thieving hundreds of millions of dollars. These guys are contracts. There's a contract mafia in this country. Johnny O'Halloran sold Trinidad's 50 grand oil company to an obscure company named Tesoro for a $50,000 deposit, and he just kept collecting kickbacks and shares after. That's been going on since 1962. Nothing's changed. We have no system in place for nobody to counter anybody. And I'm just saying to you, that should be our background hum. If we get into government, the first thing that we're supposed to be able to guarantee to the people is this: that your government system must work for the people. You asked questions about Labre and Point 14, I believe that's what you were talking about. The Progressive Empowerment Party proposes something called a constituency board of supervisors that would remove the power centralized in the cabinet and put it in the constituency. A supervisor for public works, public utilities, national security, education, and healthcare in each of the 41 constituencies, so that you in your constituency would know what road, what bridge, what sidewalk, what community center, what school, what fire station, what police station being treated with, how you get healthcare. We propose 41 24/7 healthcare facilities in the country to take the accident and emergency drama off the poor little hospitals we have. But it has to go deep and it has to go far. We need to make sure that when somebody's elected to the House of Representatives that they can represent people. You need to separate the legislature from the executive, because you have people who use the parliament to get in the government, or use the Senate to get in the government and get a ministry, and to hell with the rest of the responsibilities. And the real responsibility is representing the people. The average Trinbagonian have no access to government. None. Until they have, we talk, we make some memes, we express our discourtesy, or we go and cuss and we threaten and we burn tires. There is no real politics in Trinidad and Tobago, no real political representation.
So, Philip, let me ask you a question. You said separate the legislation from the executive. So, therefore, do you think that an MP should be separate from a minister?
Never should an MP be a minister. An MP should only be an MP. Ministers should be hired to do that job and answer to the parliament.
So, and therefore, a minister, therefore, should not be a politically aligned person. They should be an expert.
Exactly.
Right? They should not be a politically aligned person. In fact, a minister should be almost like a permanent secretary. Is that what you say?
Well, the permanent secretary role in Trinidad and Tobago is about accounting, and we'll come to that when we're dealing with financing, because they create stopgap measures. But I want to tell you something. If I hired you, Kriyan, let's say I'm creating the Minister of Animal Health. Let's just say I hire you as that. Minister of Animal Health, right? We say we want you to set up a system in Trinidad and Tobago to deal with the rights of all the animals in the country, the healthcare for all the animals in the country. You are now the person responsible for all of that. Give us a budget, give us a timeline, give us goals, objectives, measurables, metrics. Let us know where we'll be in 3 months, where we'll be in 6 months, where we'll be in 9, where we'll be in 12, what we could consider our goals, our targets, and our achievables, what it will cost us, what it will save us. So you give us all that information, and you say, okay, you're hired. 3 months from now, I'll call you back. And I'm grilling you as a parliament on all of that information that you gave me before. And you tell me your measurables and your metrics and your goals and your budgets and where you are and what you spent and what you achieved. And you say all that we've said 3 months ago, this is where we are.
Now, in comparison, the current system is, how do you see like a minister currently, Philip?
Oh, hang it.
For example, for example, just before this, I saw something on CNC3 about they were having some 3 hour something or something like that with the Minister of Sport. Now I couldn't even remember who the Minister of Sport was. But I'm saying, how do we choose? How do they go about choosing a minister? Are any minister chosen on their expertise?
Ministries are used in Trinidad and Tobago to keep MPs happy so MPs don't cross the floor or remove their support from the Prime Minister. So if I make you a minister, your salary goes up 1,000 or 46,000 or some number like that, and you get blue lights and you get extra perks and you get people to order around. It is never about what you could deliver. Clarence Rambran has delivered nothing. Shamfa Kujo has delivered nothing. This next one, the Minister of Housing, I can't know the name, Gremlin, Frederick something, Mitchell, whatever, he's delivered nothing. Daryl Smith has delivered nothing except to the girls in the groups. These people have all failed. They've all failed. Not one of them are worth the salary they collect. If the cabinet was functional, you would not need to hire 22 people and tell me how to restart an economy you shut down 4 weeks ago.
This is what I was saying. Recently, I posted on Facebook, Philip. Anybody remember the name of the other ministers? Or what else do? Nobody knows. Because they were so incapable, or they were so unimportant in their field before, that nobody knows. That's why we need 22 other people. Are you telling me that the 22 people who they are now employing or bringing on board to discuss the roadmap of Trinidad post-COVID are better suited to discuss the rest of Trinidad than the people who are currently running our country? Is that what our Prime Minister is saying?
Winston Okran, Vasant Bharat, Bermuda's Biscuits, Christian Muti of KFC fame, those 4 people have just insulted all of the financial technocrats in Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance who are responsible for keeping the wheels of the train on the tracks. None of those private enterprises are unimpeachable. None of them could say that their wealth is based on legal, moral, and ethical transactions. We, as a country, we just throw crap against the wall, and whatever sticks, we call that the target. Trinidadians do not have leadership. They do not know what our goals are. I ask people all the time, I can ask you, what is Trinidad and Tobago? I can ask states in America. I can ask provinces in Canada. What is this province? What is this state? I can ask counties in England. What is your county? And they know. Nobody knows what Trinidad and Tobago. Nobody. Where we going? How we getting there? What are our targets? What are our goals? You talking about education? You have a tertiary education system and a university.
With vision. Whereas what I'm saying right now, we don't have a vision. And this is why I want to ask you, Philip. Today I have to ask myself, what I want to ask Philip. I say, Philip, where you see yourself in 5 years' time from today? Where you really see yourself? No, where you see yourself entirely in 5 years, where you would like to be from today? And before you answer that, because you may have to think about it, why the reason I ask that is because the average Trinidadian does not know where they see themselves in 5 years' time. And when I say that, I don't mean as a person, I mean entirely where they see them going, where they see the family going, where they see the business going, where they see the country going, where they see they don't know where are we going to continue to get foreign exchange from. The average Trinidadian has no idea about that in the next 5 years. That has nothing to do with who you vote for, whether you're red or whether you're yellow. It has nothing to do with it. Has to do with the average Trinidadian is not aware enough about how important their vote is to go out there and make the right choice.
I want to answer you. I have a 26-year-old son who's known since he turned 12 that at every New Year's morning, you had to know what your goals for the year was, quantitative and qualitative. If you scroll my Facebook, every All Year's night, I tell people the same thing. Set your qualitative and quantitative goals for the next year. No first week, first day, first month, first quarter, first week, first day, first month, second quarter, first week, first day, first month, third quarter. All of the measurables of where you said that you were going to be for this year, what you hope to achieve qualitatively and quantitatively. And I have an absolute vision for my life. Today I was talking to Anna and Ram Logan on the phone. He asked me, Philip, how you eat and how you live? And I tell him all the things that I do. He said, I never knew that. I said, no, because my personal life, my business life is separate from my political life. My political life and my activist life is me serving. Right? And I mean, Kriyan is a doctor, he's a vet, so you know that some of his business has to be vet business. But the point I'm trying to make to you is, What you're talking about is a personal mission statement. And I asked somebody that 10 years ago, and they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And the fact that you do shows the level that you operate at, sir.
No, Philip. No, I am. You're making the wrong statement. I am saying right now, I do not know as well where I will be in the next 5 years. In terms of Trinidad right now as a country, is not heading in any direction. We are not
If
heading
we do not,
up. We're not heading towards, and that is why I'm saying I, as an individual, and many other Trinidadians do not know. We are not stable enough as an economy in our country, as a governed country, as a nation. We are not stable enough for anybody right now to invest themselves into their own country. You know how much young people right now don't want to don't want to invest in a home because they're not sure about their own country, if it's a good investment. Those are things that right now the average Trinidadian does not know what is going to happen in our country in the next
like,
year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years.
I tell everybody this, and I'd like to tell you this. That, and I mean, you
Mm,
could grill me, you could, if you 10 hours, you could ask me a question about anything under the sun. We don't stop researching, and I don't stop researching. If the
mm,
progressive empowerment, which is the only hope, and I want to tell you why it's hope because of people like you, because I'm not going to stop pursuing you. I'm not going to stop pursuing Gary Aboud. I'm not going to stop pursuing Commander Hero and Vernon de Lima. I'm not going to stop pursuing Atto Bolden and all the best and all the brightest, because the Progressive Empowerment Party is supposed to offer hope to the country. We talk to lawyers and financial geniuses who talk about diversifying. You want to diversify country, diversify the economy first. Separate the day-to-day operation of the country from the vision of the financial future of the country, so the two things can run concurrently at the same time without one having to give ground to the other. Right now, there are studies about, and I'm afraid to mention public transport in a country like Trinidad and Tobago because it's so rife with corruption. But boss, if the Progressive Empowerment Party does not win the election convincingly, I am leaving Trinidad and Tobago. I am not going to waste. I am saying this as clear as I could. I say it on every interview. I am not going to waste
mm.
another 5 years of my life under the puppet PNM and UNC being pulled by contract mafia people with questionable motives and operatives and money that they can't explain. I am no longer, I am 53 years old, sir, and I am not wasting another day in Trinidad and Tobago. I am going to put, this is 9:20 in the night. This interview was supposed to stop 20 minutes ago, but it is going good and I will give up the time for you. And I'm saying to Trinidad and Tobago, my entire day is politics, my entire day is meetings and conversations and interviews, and I will not stop. I will put everything, Michael Jordan said, put everything on the court. And if we do not win, I will be able to tell myself, I tell people all the time, if I wake up in Boston, and because if I leave here, I want to go to a university state or a country that has a university where I can live close by and broaden my mental horizons. I will not look back with guilt. I will say, I tried for 26 years of my life. I tried.
And this is why I asked you, Philip, about where you see yourself in 5 years' time. Because realistically, if we do not have that political, I don't want to say change, I want to say if we don't have a political pandemic occur in our country, where everybody wakes up and say, listen, all of we all the time was sick. All of we was positively stupid all the time to be sitting settling for this. We need to understand that whether we had 30 years or 1 or 10 years in the next one, or it never worked, right? You have people in areas now termed hotspots for crime. 1 minute they are hotspots for crime, next minute you know what they are? They are our grassroots people. How could your same hotspot for crime be 1 minute hotspot for crime and next minute them is your grassroots voters? It means you do not care about your grassroots voters, that you don't want to change what they have from being a hotspot. And that is what will continue in our country. And when you said you are prepared to leave, Philip, you will not believe how many times I look at my country and I say, why am I still here? I have opportunity that I could just pick up myself and leave Trinidad. And why am I still here? But I'll tell you,
You're a doctor.
I will tell
You can land
I will tell you
anywhere.
why. I will tell you why I'm still here, Philip, right? The main reason I'm still here is because when I go outside, I remember when I wrote an essay, right? When I was applying for a scholarship, I wrote an essay, and in that essay, I said that one of the things I want to do is protect as much of the wildlife in my country, and in so doing, educate as much people in my country about the wealth of their wildlife that they had. And that is the reason I will not leave my country. Yes, I will go away and better myself, but I believe that I was born here for a purpose, right? And you too, Philip, you was born here for a purpose. Now, whether you choose to go, you may have said, well, I have fulfilled that purpose. I have tried. And one day I will say, boy, I have tried and it is not fixable. And as you said, unless we all willing to get together and say, listen, what we were suffering with right now was a real sickness. We were suffering with insanity. Think if we do this over and over again, and if we put yellow and then if we put red, we're gonna end up with something better. It wasn't working. We still have a parliament where 75% of the time spent in parliament, each speaker's time, 75% of the time is spent rehashing the faults that the other government did before. 75% of each speaker time is spent saying, when Olia was in power, Olia do this. When we was in power, we do that. With only 25% of the time actually speaking about how we move forward, how we progress, right? One of the things I said, and a lot of people think I was being negative or I was being whatever they want to say, devil's advocate about it. But I said, listen, the reality of it is Trinidad and Tobago needs something like coronavirus to hit Trinidad for us to realize what we have. Without struggle, there can be no progress, right? That is a quote that without struggle, there can be no progress. And without us going through the struggle of dealing with coronavirus, we would not have realized the capability. We would have not realized we could have a parallel healthcare system. Why are people lining up for dialysis if we have a parallel healthcare system for coronavirus? Why are people dying and sleeping on the ground in your...
Say that again about the healthcare system. Say it slow. Say it for the people in the back. Because they're not understanding that the things that were able to be done, the $80 million justice on time contract get cancelled like that. All of a sudden they realize, Pep, correct. We could put the courts digital. We could build the courthouse next to the jail and save $500 million every 10 years. Say it for the people in the back.
We suddenly have 1,000 more beds when all the time we were saying people are sleeping on the ground. So you telling me all the time that Tanti was dying with kidney failure was not as important as Tanti who dying with coronavirus? I don't think that is looking at... I think all that we've said about healthcare and everything in Trinidad, yes, we don't have the best healthcare. I've been in it. I've seen how bad it is. When I got in my accident, when I went to the hospital, they said they will not have a surgeon for 2.5 weeks to do the surgery. And you know what? My father said, should we wait? They said, no, he wouldn't live. And we had to go and spend $2.6 million to do surgery on me. Otherwise, 2.5 weeks is the next time they would have somebody who could do it. Now, my question is, why could they not just hire the Trinidadian doctor in Trinidad to come into the government hospital and do it? Because that is how the government system should work. If you have a government healthcare system and there's an emergency, the government should say, bring that doctor, he's a Trinidadian, bring him, let him do it. And pay the money. I'm not saying it about for me only, I'm saying there are situations in our country where we could have put all this in place. We could have spent $10 billion on 116 cases of coronavirus. But we can't spend $1 million to buy a new dialysis machine.
Boss, and that's the point.
Does it make...
No, but that's the point. And to the average person, depending on if you, and this is a PNM government, or you're Indian and this is a PNM government, you want to see that different. To neither side, this is a country. To neither side. So to the Indians, Rowley failed. To the blacks, Rowley's a king. Flip the script. The Vasant Bharat that they cuss, keep Rowley, label Vasant Bharat for the rest of his life, the dog rice man. It is keep Christopher Mugabe Sabga Rowley, who labeled Vasant Bharat as the dog rice man from India for the rest of Vasant life. That is what Google will say of him. But Vasant is such a political prostitute and an opportunistic fool that he gone to serve on a committee to just further his own agenda because there's nothing there as service. And there's nothing that that committee is going to do that will help Trinidad and Tobago. Because if that committee was really intent to help Trinidad and Tobago, they would have had some social activists on board. They would have had some animal activists on board. They would have had farmers on board and people who understand food processing. But all we put is a set of retailers and carpetbaggers and people who have been beneficiaries of the state for too long. Basan joined
Philip, let
them.
me ask you something. How is the average person, the poor man who is in I don't want to call a specific area and make and bring down any area. How is the average poor man going to contribute towards this roadmap? They say we are taking suggestions. How is he going to do it? The same way you are supposed to fill out the form, go and get it printed when all the printeries close, everywhere for the, how is the average man? Why is there no public consultation wider understand about doing this roadmap? Right,
What's your
as you
opinion,
said,
sir?
you have to have more people there to discuss it. This is not about 22 people who are businessmen. Is it that, if you understand what I'm saying, this is not the right way to deal with it, right? Go, as I was saying before, I closed down my business, even though it is listed as essential, because I did not want to put my family at risk, but also my employees at risk. Have we considered when they now say open back the country, right? What are they going to do for employees in terms of insurance for if you get sick thereafter? These are things that I don't think anyone has considered. Because we
Sir,
already have the police getting insurance if they get sick. We have
everything
had
you
statements about
raise,
the police.
everything that you raise reminds me of something else. The Commission of Inquiry into Clico Financial and the Hindu Credit Union made certain recommendations. One of them would have prevented Sagicor from becoming the size it is now. And now we have two other insurance companies in Trinidad and Tobago that are too big to fail. So if either of them fail, it's more jam for the treasury, more jam for the taxpayers. Nothing to prevent,
More
nothing.
bailout going to take place. More
So
bailout.
Kriyan,
And it raises a question, Philip, though, with these nurses and the police. My question was this, right? Nurses are saying they want to have some insurance if something is to happen with the coronavirus. If any of them is to fall sick or so. My thing is, shouldn't they have insurance in place for nurses all along? Because they are exposed to so many other things. If we are saying that coronavirus is just a mild thing and there's so much more dangerous and deadly things, why don't nurses have that as part of the regime already? Something that nurses should have some form of insurance already, outside of just NIS. It should be there. Doctors should have it. Nurses should have it too.
Kriyan, nothing works in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad is
Well,
broken.
as I was
Nothing.
telling you, Philip, when I went to Fort Little for those 4 days, 4 days I went just to collect my wheelchair. I landed in Fort Lauderdale with no luggage, none. I went, I went with my passport, did the check-in, everything. They told me go in a room. 2 DEA agents came and talked to me, right? And I swear it's textbook ex-Marines looking people. They came and had a word with me, gave me a piece of paper to fill out. They said, they said, I said, where's the real issue here? They said, sir, you came to America with no luggage. I said, listen, I came here for 4 days to collect a wheelchair. I go in by my uncle, I wear his clothes, I picking up my wheelchair, and I leave in your country. That is it. Right? And in those 4 days, Philip, I came back to Trinidad depressed. You know what I was depressed about? That
Kriyan, we have an interruption. We're not hearing you. I don't know if you're hearing me. Satish, is this a permanent interruption, Satish, or are we getting him back? Because Kriyan Singh is talking about, and I really wanted to let him go down this path about what he's talking about here with his personal experience and as how it was dealt with. But we're not hearing him on this side. I don't know if you're not even, it may be an interruption of the show itself. I think the public may not even be hearing me. Um, testing one, testing two, testing three. I think we got an interruption there. A manic system failure. Satish, where we at? We lost Krian. I don't know if we'll be getting him back. Somebody with a goat mouth named Daniel Jackson had just said that this is the longest episode of Plain Talk ever, and I was going to let it run for as long as Krian wanted to talk because Krian has a lot to add. I'm getting a message from Pep Media Control, so let me just read that and see. They're trying to bring him back, so that's a good thing. I know some of you all are still with us, and in the meantime, could you please share the video? People are messaging me to let me know that they're hearing me. Share the video, let others know that we're here. Thank all of you telling me that you're hearing me loud and clear. Yeah, we're gonna run the show for as long as it takes tonight because Kriyan Singh is somebody who I see him as almost as a brother activist, and and would like to give him as much chance to speak his mind or bring him back again um, tomorrow. Seeing Kriyan, you hearing me?
Yeah, go back on there, Philip. We just had a little cut on the internet there.
You were just talking about your meeting with the ex-marine
Right.
looking going to get your wheelchair.
Right.
Take it back. Take it back from
So what I was saying is when I came, I was there for a short time, Philip. But remember I was telling you about what I saw on the road. As a wheelchair user, every curb is accessible, Philip. Every curb. I remember when they had the big opening of the curbs in front of the then parliament, because the parliament has moved now, but in front of the Hyatt and so on, that area there, and they were boasting about the fact that it's now accessible and so on. Right? Do you know it's not accessible? It's a 4 foot, a 2 foot drop down into a drain before you get to it. Where they said that blind people could come and now use it and so on. But these are the things that make me just ashamed to be in this country. It shows how badly organized things are. It shows how the junction by me, right? This is Paria Suites intersection just before the Mosquito Creek. When they were building it, they built it and they put traffic lights with crosswalks where you press the knob and the bell will ring and you could cross. And they painted lines where you had to cross. So we went and we tell them, we said, listen, if people have to use here, it should be built so that when you press the button and you go across, you can go freely across. You don't have to go up onto something because there could be people in wheelchairs and so on. They said, yes, no problem. Do you know that where it's demarcated to walk, you have to walk into the culvert? You actually have to walk at a crosswalk over a culvert, over the barricades in the highway. That is where they put the crosswalk. And this is work that was paid for.
Kriyan, you know, it's your only option.
To burn tires in the road.
Or to go take your personal money and hire a lawyer and go and serve the state a pre-action protocol letter and sue the state and be able to carry the lawsuit for as long as it takes because they'll win. And when you win, the court will award you and it will order the change be made. But 10 years would pass, or 15 years would pass, it would have pauperized you if you're still around and involved. And that is the insanity of Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody got paid to put a sign outside Piarco Airport and they put 9 languages above the parking garage, and one of them was Braille. And I was wondering if blind people supposed to climb up and but that was done. But brother, we can laugh at these things, but we have to stop being popcorn eaters or tire burners or meme makers. We have to now become civic-minded patriots. The reason countries like Iceland, America, and even Rwanda is working right now is because the people of those countries are taking their country very, very serious. We take our country as a joke.
But Philip, right now, if you have to do what you are saying, you know what's going to happen. You spoke about it at Libitum on most of your right now, anything you say, the police cannot help you to find the information, and you will get hit with a defamation lawsuit, and you'll end up losing your money. That is what is happening right now in our country. We want whistleblower legislation. when Monilal blow the whistle that, listen, oil fuel left Trinidad and went to Venezuela, they quarrel with him. We don't really want whistleblower legislation. We don't want to protect people who are coming out with information such as yourself from lawsuits. We rather you stay quiet as a country. We rather you stay quiet and you got tied up in a lawsuit than we deal with the issue. Because that's what you're going to be going through.
And you know that I have the record being the most sued politician in the country. 90% of the suits that have been leveled at me have been from Syrian people that I consider cousin or uncle or auntie. I have information and I know that certain people would prefer never sees the light of day. Trinidadians have been walking around for the past 58 years thinking that they were in some kind of twilight zone, that the rest of the world could work, but Trinidad must be a latrine shithole. That we must be a country that is a total conundrum, one of the wealthiest on the planet. For a long time, the third wealthiest country in the Western world. Trinidad per capita was wealthier than Venezuela, was wealthier than Argentina, was wealthier than Panama and Colombia. It was America, Canada, Trinidad. We were the third wealthiest nation in the world. We were in the Western world. We were wealthier than Brazil and Nicaragua and Paraguay and Argentina and Chile. We were the third wealthiest nation in the Western world, and with a tweak, with a little bit of proper leadership, we could have been one of the wealthiest nations on the entire planet. Instead, now we're a shithole. We are a failed nation. We've tolerated 500 murders a year and we've politicized that. We've had Fitzgerald Hines argue with Gary Griffith if it was 461 or 463. And Hema not understanding that the question she have to ask is 10,000 people have been murdered. This country has a higher kill rate than Aleppo. Iraq is at war and they don't have kill numbers like us. Trinidad and Tobago is a shit. We have to all say, when the president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago took umbrage with people over the national anthem, I rewrote the national anthem saying, forged from the love of shit. Trinidad is a shithole and we are a shit lover's paradise. And until all of us face the freaking truth of our reality and our condition, we are not going to fix it. And we'll keep getting chained up with bullshit, racist, religious politics that separates us instead of unites us into facing that Kamala and Rowley both collect 2 bags of money every election, one for the party and one for them personally. This is a frightfully corrupt and broken nation. And the only reason it is so is because Trinidadians prefer to talk shit and eat popcorn than to actually engage themselves for a minute in the democracy.
And is it, Philip, that do we have a real avenue to do that? Do we have a way of getting our voice out there? Really getting it out there without, as I said, being silenced by somebody sending you a lawsuit or somebody.
Treat their threats, 9 lawsuits, let them sue, let them send their pre-action protocol letters. Create nothing in this world that was ever fixed easy. This is not going to be an easy fix. We're talking about billions, we're talking about billions of dollars. I spoke to somebody today, I said we have to assemble the Avengers. That's what I am calling to order every night on Plain Talk. You are an Avenger, sir. You are somebody that I want, and I tell you this. All of us we have to be the change. We have to give ourselves to service and tell Trinbagonians, you will never be able to say you didn't have a real chance.
That is true. That is true. That is true, Philip. And the thing about it is that people out there, they want change. They want something better. But I don't think people out there want change, but they want the change to come from within the same 2 systems, the same 2 parties. They actually think that one day one of these 2 parties are just going to change into the perfect solution. Yeah. That's what's happening right now.
One day the UN will call a meeting and say, you know what? We no longer want corruption money, please. No, thank you. No. The PNM will say, come on. Let's stop receiving contract mafia kickbacks. Come on. You'll do a proper tender, please, thank you.
Let's stop renting our own buildings. Let's stop renting our own building. That's where and the reality of it is that will never happen. That will never happen.
Some business people, wives, all of a sudden are the pinnacle of business in Trinidad and Tobago. If you do a police investigation into the wife of every politician in this country, the women's prison will be packed with wives of politicians and the corruption that they have engaged in, from pressure washing to gardening. They have a white woman with blue eyes that have the contract to mow the lawn where black people live in HDC contracts. Now you tell me how that makes sense when them people desperate for work. You tell me how Januras and the Syrian Lebanese Women's Association get the contract to sew masks for coronavirus when every black tanty in this country have a singer sewing machine with the thing on the bottom that
Muslim, you know.
come down,
Yeah.
man. Come down, they vex. They don't
So,
want Philip to talk. They don't want Philip to talk. Michael Moses and Gerard Abura and the next year they have named Johnny Whoops, who snorts so much cocaine since we small. He must be rotten the brain. The brain must have more potholes than the road. And these people want to give me talk and bad talk me. When you talk about it, brother, nobody's get more attacks and hits than me. I stand up here every single day. Every morning I wake up is right back into the front line because I fight both sides and I fight their finances and I bring information into the public space. There are people in public life in this country, brother, at the highest level of public service, not just politicians, not just prime ministers and ministers and MPs. There are people in places in this country that are wearing high functioning gongs right now that if you did a proper commission of inquiry in this country into the drug trade and white collar crime in Trinidad and Tobago, we will run out of jail space quickly. This is a
but
broken.
this is why I was telling you, Philip, that if you watch that Narco series, it may sound like the thing about it is that if you watch it, forget about the storyline. You watch it to get a grasp of how involved the politicians are in that trade, how involved the judges are in that trade, how involved the police are in that trade, how involved the lawyers are in that trade, how involved everybody is in that trade. And the thing is, you are in that, the trade is so interlocking that when the money starts to flow, they don't know how to switch it off. They don't know how to switch off the money. The only way to switch off the money or to get out of the narcos trade is in a box, you know. There's no other way to get out of that trade. And that is why in this country, when you have so many of our young men dying, right, our murder rate is higher than our coronavirus infection rate. That we are probably the only country in the world that have a murder rate higher than the coronavirus infection rate in the whole world. Well, our pandemic is not coronavirus.
I was supposed to say that. I said China is one big lie. Our whole coronavirus is like opening doors. They were opening the doors hoping we'd get some corona cases so they could have thief money. Trinidad and Tobago could have been the only country with 0 cases, especially Tobago. By March 20th, when they had their 4th news conference, Tobago still had no chances of having coronavirus. You could have shut Tobago down cold and you would have had one spot on planet Earth with 0 cases of coronavirus. We bring in 50,000 people for Carnival right after we declare a national health emergency, and then 20,000 after, and not one person was made quarantine or test.
But Philip, the question is, why did we do it? Why did we, or why on January 30th or 31st, they said, listen, this thing is a dangerous disease, right? We proclaim it. Why did we allow the borders to remain open for Carnival? Because Carnival doesn't make $10 billion.
No,
Carnival does not $10 billion.
I watched Jules Sobian. Now his father was an attorney general in this country that hung a man committed murder. That our attorney general, when they went and hanged Glenn Ashby, Sobian attorney general, PNM attorney general Sobian, when he went and hanged Glenn Ashby still had matters before the court. That is Trinidad and Tobago. But because it was 2 white, no, it wasn't, that's not who Glenn Ashby, yeah, 2 white women got murdered in Westmoreland, raped and murdered in Westmoreland, so they had to hang somebody. Glenn Ashby was eating a mango. I watched Jules Sobian, his son, and Dean Akin talking about the financial value of Carnival. Miss me with that bullshit. It would be cheaper in this country if you gave a list of all them small people that you named as having contributed to Carnival by bending wire and opening parlor. Give each of them a $10,000. We would still save money. The people of Trinidad and Tobago put up all the money that it spent for the North Stand and the stage and all that shit for 2 shows. And the people who get to operate the shows, they get to take the gate and make the money. Carnival is a complete con job. It benefits nobody but the people who are in Carnival.
And my question is this, Philip. $10 billion billion. I saw that is how much you say it costs us, right? $10 or $15 billion or something like that, right? Is that what we're going to profit from Carnival? Could we not have closed the border? Now, everybody is saying that coronavirus is not in the country. When I say everybody, we have heard the minister and the CMO and some of the other people on the presentation say coronavirus was not here for Carnival, right? My question is this. If it was not here for Carnival, it's not the issue. My question is, seeing what we have now, if we had closed the borders when you all had proclaimed it and say we can have Carnival, but let it just be Trinidadians having Carnival in Trinidad, nobody else coming in, could we not have been a coronavirus-free country? If we had done it, then was it worth the amount of money we are spending now? Was it worth closing down the economy for Carnival?
But sir, they're talking about Carnival next year when we're talking about learning to live with coronavirus in the next 2 years. So what is being actually recommending? A social distance wine that you stay 6 feet in front of me and I wine on your bum. See, that's what Dean Atkins suggested. How are you going to have Carnival and social distancing? Are you going the whole thing going to be masked with beans and feathers?
We can't social distance when we line up for food, Philip. How we go social distance and wine? It is impractical.
They are big men and women in this country, rational thinking human beings that don't give a damn about the frontline workers. They come outside, they stunt, they give you $20 for your ad, and they stunt, they come out to clap for the healthcare workers, but they don't mind putting those same healthcare workers at risk outside market and super farm and all places. They're not actually doing a damn good job of social distancing. Dave Lux and other people asked today, if the masks working, why we still have the stores closed? And if they're not working, why we wearing the blasted masks? The entire thing starting to come across like a farce and a lie, and these people have no idea what they're doing. If masks are working, then put social distancing in place and start back with the blasted doubles box. Because I will not stop fighting until the doubles man get to open back his business.
Well, Philip, this is the whole thing, you know. Have we discussed training Trinidadians to social distance? We just come and tell Trinidadians, listen, all you have to social distance. And we've come and say, listen, you all have to know what is all your new normal and stuff. I think they have to have, employers have to train their staff about what social distancing means. Right? You can't have social distancing and you have a lunchroom and everybody have lunch at the same time and sit down laughing in the lunchroom. Right? I already look in my little clinic here. I've already decided that at any one point in time, no two people must be in the same room during the day unless you all are actively working. So unless a patient comes in and two of us are dealing with the patient, other than that, it have 4 rooms here, two examination rooms, a reception room and a X-ray room, and then the 4 of us, we could split up here. Nobody need to be around each other whole day because you've done it for a whole month. So I think the whole thing comes down to are Trinidadians able to actually understand what physical distancing means. I have watched, when the one day I left my home to go shopping, I went to Price Mart. Now when I got to Price Mart, they told me I can't go in, it's too crowded. I said, all right, no problem. I didn't want to say, well, I'm in a wheelchair. I said, no problem. I am fighting it down. Yeah, I want me to come in, no problem. I left. I went to Massey's store, they let me in. Now in Massey's store, there's the social distancing inside. But outside, there are people leaning up on the wall. A man leaning up on the post, so a next man leaning up by he. People, Trinidadians have a way of leaning up everywhere and touching everything. They see something, they pass and they go on. I saw a couple going through a box of food coloring. And the man going through and he lifting up each one and he pull off his mask and he touching his mask and he touched the whole box of about 40 different food coloring in there. So how do we train our people about what proper social distance is?
But you're a doctor, right? Let's say we continue social distancing for the next 6 months, but keep the borders closed. We've had social distancing going on in the country now for 2 months. Our caseload of coronavirus is in negative now. Everybody's recovering. The 8 or the 9, I don't know how many died. They died. But everybody else recovering. They can send everybody else home. All the 33 that came back from Barbados, they've coronavirus free. There's a 14-day incubation. 21 if you twist the CMO one way is 21. If you twist it the next way is 7. Don't make a difference. Go with 21. There's no coronavirus in Trinidad. It can't be hiding nowhere at home by somebody when the German Shepherd knows. They have no more coronavirus. But still, wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance, open back the economy. Where's this
But
second
have we
wave
been?
supposed to come from? Where is the second wave supposed to come from if there is nobody in the country infected now? There is no community spread. We've been shut down for 2 months and the borders are closed. If the Americans are here keeping the Venezuelans from coming in Cedros, where are we going to get a second wave from? Eric Mackey is a meteorologist who believes that coronavirus is hiding somewhere waiting to jump out and surprise us. But if it doesn't infect somebody and get incubated, it dies. World Health Organization and
But,
CDC number says hot sun kills the coronavirus. Things that last 18 hours in some environments, in a hot sun environment, last 2 minutes. Open
Philip,
back
have we
the
been doing enough? Have, have we done enough testing to know if we have it here?
It doesn't matter. The time has passed. The time has passed. Even if 10,000 people were asymptomatic in Trinidad, passing it one to the other like a relay, one of them would have become critical every single day. You're going to get one, that's the percentage, 1%. So you're going to get 0.01%. You're going to get every now and then, every single day, you're going to get at least one person getting sent for treatment because they have severe symptoms. We have none. We've had none for 21 days. It is time to face that if the borders close, and I don't just mean the airport, we have to close Cedros for short young Venezuelans. We need to close it. Nobody must come in or out for the next 3 months. Keep the airports closed. Put on your mask, social distance until there is no more coronavirus on the planet. But we're supposed to be able to say that there's no more coronavirus in Trinidad.
Well, when we,
The only
but we remember, Philip, we have 2 cases that they said that they have not finished the epidemiological investigation for. There was one I saw on CNC3. The woman said that she went to 3 places and they still could not tell her where out of those 3 places she would have caught coronavirus.
and
Where
that's
should
the
have
point.
gotten infected.
No, but that's the point. What I'm saying to you is, if I give you a stick that lasts 7 days, that if you don't touch somebody with that stick, it will disappear. How did this person get it? You can't get it if it's
Well,
nowhere. It's a way.
well, then the question arises, Philip, is what you're saying about our sun, the temperature and so on, does that then cause us to have more asymptomatic cases than cases that develop full swing?
When Iceland tested their full population, half the population had coronavirus. Coronavirus, unless, and let me tell you something, the facts now are out there.
Mm-hmm.
99% of people who died from coronavirus were people above the age of 70 that had second and third symptoms. This second wave that people talking about from World War II, World War One, people forget history that was happening at the same time. That 50 million soldiers concentrated in a theater of operation that were an incubation cell, huge incubation cell. And World War One ended, and all of them took coronavirus, Spanish flu, home with them to places that did not have it and did not yet have herd immunity. And it killed 50 million people and then it left the earth because everybody else who was going to get it got it and didn't die. We developed herd immunity and then it left the earth because they didn't invent a vaccine. The Spanish
Yeah.
flu, as it went. And the same thing is going to happen with coronavirus. My parents under quarantine, my parents under quarantine since March 16. I've not been in touching distance. In fact, I've not been under 10 feet from them. And I used to see my parents every day. My father want to go out and line. You want to go to the grocery, you want to go to the beach. He calling me every morning. My mother saying they're not leaving the house. If you want the elders at risk to not get it, isolate them like that. Isolate them. If you have asthma, if you have COPD, if you have lung cancer, if you have AIDS and HIV, isolate yourself. You have a responsibility. But the herd immunity, and this is now fact, This is now a fact, and forget the rest of the world. Focus on Trinidad. Because I find the argument in Trinidad, if you're talking Trinidad facts, we had to pull information from Singapore and Taiwan and New Zealand and America. Deal with Trinidad numbers. We've had 116 cases now for the past month. There are no new cases. Coronavirus is not hiding anywhere to jump out and surprise us. And I am not saying let the madness reign. I am saying social distancing, masks in public, wash your hands and sanitize, but open the economy. People need to go back out to work. This government has made a mess and a mockery of handling this pandemic. And if there's a commission of inquiry into this that results in action actually being taken, Kid Rowley have serious questions to answer, especially about the
So
financial decisions that they made.
if they open back the economy, Philip, and we do get the more cases, what do you then think we should do? Let us say
Because
we
if we,
open back next week, and then we continue testing and we get 5 new cases. What then? We close back.
you have to understand this. Trinidad's economy has nowhere to turn to for help, you know.
I
Even
know.
if we
Yes,
have
I agree.
we if we have to learn to live with coronavirus, we can't stay locked down. We have to put
Mm-hmm.
things in place to live with coronavirus. Everybody who has been alive since the 80s, when herpes and AIDS became our reality, has learned that for you to have sex, you have to use a condom.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a massive boon to the condom market. 35 million people have died of AIDS. You know that? Since the 80s. 35 million people. That's a large number until you contrast and compare it to the fact that we have 7,700. So that's not even.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying to you is, whether or not we willing to face the truth or not, we have to learn to live with coronavirus. And I feel that this is a whole other conversation that you and I are going to have. But this show has been going for 2 hours and no plain talk has gone for 2 hours since its inception. I want to thank you, brother. I mean, I want to tell you, I feel privileged that I had you on the show. You're a thinker, you're a bright guy. I'm proud to know you. I want to tell you, in plain talk, our closing comments, you get to take as much time as you need. So I want to tell you thanks and take as much time as you need, friend, to say whatever you want to say closing. But I also want to ask you before you go so that the people who are looking on could know that I want to ask you back to the show to continue the conversation, if that's okay with you.
Definitely, I'll be back. Um, in closing, Philip, I've been following your shows. I've been following your political aspirations. And when I say aspiration, I don't want it to sound like meaning that you're aspiring to be prime minister. You're aspiring to change our nation for the better. And what I want to say is that every time you go out there, or somebody from the PP or somebody from any walk of life goes out there, and they put that passion to see their country change for better, people have to wake up and say, listen, this man or this woman is not doing this for self. He's doing this for everyone else to have a better nation. And what I'm saying is that you going out there or anybody else going out there, to go out there and put yourself up there, to take a stoning, to take a beating, to have words thrown at you, to have defamation lawsuits, to have death threats against you, and to still be the next day and pursuing it still, that, my friend, takes a lot of metal. And each of us as Trinidadians have to acquire that amount of metal to change this country. Each of us have to wake up and say, listen, if Philip could take stoning, if Crean could take stoning, if the next person could take stoning, we had to take some stoning too if we had to change this country. We all have to come out there and say, listen, we need to have a backbone and change our country. We can't just sit down and say, nah, boy, well, we can't protest so we don't protest. So in closing, I think that is what I want to say, that all of us have to come together and say, listen, we can't always live in a shithole. And we can't have the rest of the world watching us and saying, that is a nice place, but you know what? It's a shithole. We need to come out of this shithole for it. We need to come out of this shithole. We need to make back our country. I would say I wasn't here to say if our country was beautiful. But all the grand stories I hear from my grandparents and my parents, I was not there. So I can't say, well, let's bring it back to that. What I can say is let's make it better than it is now. We need to make it better than it is now. We need to. I have no children, Philip. Right? I have 2 nieces. I have a lot of dogs, but I have a lot of people I consider my children. People who I help out in the quiets, right? Who people that say, well, wait now, Dr. Singh is a vet. Where his salary does go to? People don't understand how many people out there I have taken it upon myself to adopt and say, listen, you, I will send you to school because you don't have a father. I will make sure you go to university because your father or mother can't send you to university. And I do that because I think that if I do that, where I live will one day be a paradise.
Indeed.
So each of us have to have that metal in us and say, listen, I could take some stone in today so that tomorrow will be better. So that is the message I want to leave with us tonight.
Thank you, my friend. Somebody messaged me during the show. I have a friend, his name is Gavin Bernard Franco. He's a Trinidadian, he lives in Canada. And he's giving me a lot of constant information. He said the problem is Trinidad have too many smart men and saga boys and not enough real men. And that's an absolute fact. And I like how you described it. I like how you
Yeah, that is.
brother.
All
When
right,
you
Philip,
finish,
I hope you enjoy it. What's
yeah,
that?
when you go and read the comments, you see how they enjoyed having you on the show tonight. Eh? All the
I'll
pet members
take
and all
man.
the, yeah.
I'll take
I
a
thanks a lot.
say I'll come back. And perhaps when the social distancing is no longer needed, we can have it more in in the camaraderie that we are customers trainees to have it in a social setting where we have a drink or something, and we enlighten the people about these things some more.
Maybe when we unveil you as a candidate in the election. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time.
As I've always told you, Philip, you know, you have asked me before about it, and I was very straightforward there about the positions I was in and the situations why I thought at that time it was not a good idea. But those things are not there again. Those obstacles are not there. So it is something to be considered.
Thank you, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, Philip. Take care, man.
And Trinidad and Tobago, that is where we leave you, a 2 hour long bumper edition of Plain Talk. But I knew it was always going to be long because Krian is a guy that I want. He represents every man, and he said it. He said in the Senate he was every man. He was an ordinary man, and that's what he represented in this conversation. I wanted to have an ordinary man's perspective on a lot of stuff. And again, to the lady who may have stumbled upon Plain Talk for the first time, I am not a talk show host. This is a debate. This is a conversation. There will be crosstalk. If you're not accustomed to that kind of exchange, maybe you want to continue watching Hamer on the morning. This is not that kind of show. Krian gave us excellent fodder, things to think about. The exchange tonight was healthy. And again, it has to come down to all of us standing up for this country. Because listen, you could be wherever you are. You could be in Goodwood Park, you could be in Abbey Pujad, you could be in Mbakade, you could be in Lopino, you could be in Palatouvier. Wherever you are in this country tonight, Caroni East, Caroni Central, Caroni North, Caroni South, it doesn't matter. Rapai Village. Trinidad and Tobago needs all of us, every creed and race. Listen, brother Marvin sang, we are brotherhood of the boat. Yet all of us still fighting for we little corner of the boat. I come from Africa, I come from India, I come from Syria, I come from China. If you're born in Trinidad, jackass, you come from Trinidad and Tobago. It is time for you and me to start acting like I come from Trinidad and Tobago. I have ancestry from other countries. But my navel string, the placenta that connected me to my mother, buried in Trinidad and Tobago. This where I from. And if we all stood together and fought for this country, a handful of corrupt people, a handful of greedy businessmen and unethical lawyers and professionals couldn't turn Trinidad and Tobago into the shithole that it is today. We wouldn't allow it. We wouldn't accept it. You wouldn't accept it in your house. You wouldn't accept it in your family. You accept it in your community. You accept it in your country. See your brothers and sisters as brothers and sisters, one people under one flag. Tell all the politicians, including me, because I'm a politician now. Tell all of us, listen, when you come to me, you better know what you're coming to do and you better be coming to serve. And give me a plan that I can get on board with that makes sense, that sounds like it will help me. Be selfish with your vote. That is the only way to change Trinidad and Tobago. Tomorrow, we have a secret surprise. We have a former PNM Member of Parliament and Minister who will be joining me, and we will be discussing it. We've had UNC MPs before, and this show Plain Talk is open to everybody. We don't politicize it. I don't bring people here and kick them in the face. I talk about issues, and we deal with it very professionally. It may get heated, but it doesn't bring Movilam and Bacchanal and old talk. So if you are Faris Al-Rawi or Stuart Young or Keith Rowley or Kamala Prasad Bissessa or Dave Tanko pulling the strings behind the UNC, manipulating who leads the party today and who might lead it tomorrow. If you are anybody in any place, judges, Chief Justice, DPP, let us have a conversation. Explain to the people why it don't work. We're getting to a point where we understand it, you know. We're getting to a point where we're looking behind the curtain and we see it, how it came to be what it is. I promise you, if 1.4 million of us could unite as one people under one flag, those people who ruined our country will pay a price for it. Until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.